We're starting off the day now with our first company joining us, CannTx. Please, Mike, can you share your, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I want to start off by saying thank you to KD and the team from CanMar for organizing the event today, giving our company the opportunity to be one of the presenters. As well, we look forward to working with the CanMar team in the future as we continue to grow our business. My name is Mike Abbott, and I'm the president and CEO and co-founder here at CannTx LifeSciences. And I'm joined by my business partner, Buck Young, the executive director and co-founder, which he'll be speaking in a couple of moments here. Our goal this morning is to give you a bit of a background about us, each of us, tell you a little bit about our story, and yes, we are hiring. We are growing our business. We've had a vision from the beginning that's very simple: to create confidence in cannabis. Tell you a little bit about my background. I first was introduced to this plant probably before a lot of people that are on this webinar were born, back in the late 60s. And I worked for a major brewer for over a number of years. I started in sales. I worked my way up to a VP level. I left the brewery. I did some traveling. I opened a restaurant, which is a franchise system, grew the chain to, that location to number 3 in the chain. And then I sold that and had an executive coaching company. And in 2012, I met Buck Young, who was a friend with my youngest son. And that's when we, in June of 2013, we incorporated CannTx. Back then it was only medicinal, it wasn't recreational. So obviously CAN is can, and there's a lot of companies out there with can in front of their name, but CAN is cannabis. But TX, if a doctor writes a script for a drug, it's RX. If he writes a script for therapy, it's TX. So cannabis therapy. So one of the things that we wanted to do, I mean, the years that I was in the beer business, I went through some mergers and some takeovers and some acquisitions, and I saw great cultures and I saw cultures clash. And I was a believer that we needed to, we had an opportunity here to set a great culture at CannTx. And one of the first things we did in the early years is we developed our values, where we focused on teamwork, decision-making, resolving issues, people development, and diversity and inclusion, to name a few. And we're up to about just over 60 employees today. And I can tell you that every employee that's been hired with the organization, the final interview happens with me. And I interview to see if they're a fit, make sure the individual is a fit for the values. And I can be honest and tell you that that is really making a difference with our company. If you look at our website, at a glance, it looks corporate, but I want you to consider this. We're still private. We've raised all the funds to date without any bankers. We have people with PhDs and master's degrees and legacy growers on the team. We're focused on the art and the science. And I just want to, before I pass it over to Buck, just a couple more things. You know, we've seen a number of companies that have come into this space and thinking that it was a 100-yard dash. We've looked at it as a marathon, and I don't think that we're at the first refreshment station yet. But just before I pass it over to Buck, I just want to share a quick story with you. Was totally healthy back in 2013 when we incorporated the company. In 2016, I got diagnosed with a rare disease called giant cell arteritis. It's an inflammatory disease. I was on prednisone for 6 months, saw the damage that it was doing to my body, did some research, saw that CBD was showing positive results for inflammation, got off the prednisone, had the doctors give me a standing order for a blood test once a month, so I could measure whether or not CBD was doing any different. And I can tell you today, the inflammation levels in my body are in the normal range. I still take CBD every day. I'm healthy. I don't have any joint pain. I walk every day, I play golf, and it is really making a difference for me. So I have the proof to show that it works. I'm excited with CannTx, with this whole COVID thing, to be able to be a part of writing what the playbook on what the other side of this thing looks like. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my partner here, Buck Young.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. So just a quick background on myself. Like many people in this industry, I got my start as an activist. As a law student, I worked for the legal professor, Alan Young, who did much of the constitutional litigation that gave rise to legal access to medical cannabis in Canada. You know, while taking affidavits in preparation for a constitutional challenge to the old overly restrictive program, everyone from patients to pharmaceutical research scientists at GW Pharma all agreed that patients needed access to whole plant cannabis and they needed more product diversity. You know, it was also at this time that Health Canada began consultations on revising the program and turning it into a truly commercial framework. And I decided that entrepreneurship would be the way that I could advance cannabis liberalization. So as Mike said, in 2013, we call him Coach. We founded CannTx on the vision of confidence in cannabis. There's a lot of meaning embedded in that pithy tagline. You know, as a startup, it meant convincing our family and friends to invest in us and to join our team. As we toured them through our empty warehouse and improvised tissue culture lab and office full of garage sale furniture. You know, through the long journey of getting our license under what has now been 3 different regulatory regimes, it meant demonstrating to Health Canada that we understood the requirements and that we built systems to ensure our compliance. As we defined our horticultural practices, it meant achieving standardization and reproducibility through monitoring and control of the factors affecting production. For our research and commercial partners, it means the high caliber of our team of scientists and lifelong cultivators. For our consumers, confidence in cannabis means we are committed to achieving the highest standards in our craftsmanship of your perfect cannabis experience. Confidence in cannabis doesn't mean we have it all figured out. You know, I'll be real with you. Over the last 7 years, we've learned a lot of things, and some of those lessons, we've learned them the hard way. But that's the point. You know, we are a community of passionate individuals that are always striving to learn and be better at what we do every day. You know, I think many people would agree that the legal cannabis industry got off to a bit of a rocky start. You know, the promise of legalization was good jobs for those from the legacy industry and from other sectors, advancement of the state of cannabis science, horticultural and pharmaceutical science, and high quality products with safety assurances. You know, and for some part, instead we got an industry dominated by a handful of massive companies currently laying off folks, contributing little to the shared scientific understanding of this plant, and making flurfy, you know, gamma irradiated cannabis with no attention to aesthetics. But that's not the industry of tomorrow. You know, it's my hope that wherever you find yourself in this industry, that you build confidence in cannabis. Educate yourselves and those around you, call bullshit when you see it, and strive to bring excellence in the cannabis products and services that you produce and sell. So with that, maybe we'll invite some questions. How do I do this here? Q&A?
Ask Roman.
Do you want to see if you can open the Q&A right at the bottom? Can you see it?
Yes. Okay. I'm just going to grab one here. The industry losing in the gray market. That's a great question. To be honest, a lot of the companies that really got a head start, that were well capitalized, were banker-backed initiatives. They weren't necessarily organic, passionate cannabis people building companies. It was a stock play, and you know, and because of that, there was this race to the bottom. It was about who could produce the most volume at the lowest price. And that's what we got was cheap weed. I understand when people say, like, I like the cannabis that I get in the legacy market. But that's changing. There's some really great brands out there, some great craft opportunities. We're starting to see how boards like the Ontario Cannabis Store are really embracing that craft narrative. Another question, will be, let's see, will there be advice for people interested in working in the cannabis industry with lack of work experience? I work in a market research field. There's a lot of, a cannabis company is not just people planting plants and trimming weed. It really takes a whole team, a full complement of skill sets. Whether if you've got experience from another, from a non-corporate environment, legacy industry, from some volunteerism or activism that you've done, from the corporate world, we need all of those skill sets. You can send another one. If folks are looking to send us a resume, it's hr@cantx.com or info@cantx.com. Let's see what here. What else? What kind of positions for research, science education are possible? This is really a good one. We're really starting to formalize our R&D efforts, going from more of an ad hoc, just trying to get the baseline down of control and stability, and starting to really dig into some research questions. I think that science education and consumer education is really important. Those with a science background and able to communicate those concepts, that's really valuable in a marketing role as well. So think outside the box there. There's a lot of great ways that folks with that background can help. The University of Guelph. So we're near Guelph University. It's an agricultural mecca in Canada. We've got partnerships with Ontario Centers of Excellence, grant funding opportunities. That's a great way to advance scientific objectives in a corporate environment, is to bring some research funding. So if you know how to write grants, that's a great skill set for cannabis companies as well. Wonderful. What have you learned since being a startup? How are you doing drying your cannabis, hang dry or drying wax? Yeah, we tried a bunch of things. We really kind of fell back to the grower wisdom of hang dry on the stem and a dry trim. It just seems to really give a great cure process. And then we sort of have a phase 2 dry process to really enhance that bouquet. There's a lot of wisdom in the cannabis growing community. Not always are the reasons or rationales right. And then when Mike was talking about marrying the arts and science, that's really the gist of it, is like, why do people do it this way? Let's put some data behind that, understand what's really going on, and that helps us take it to the next level. What else? So where are we located? Guelph, Ontario. How do we get new green customers to buy in, especially the ones that are battling prohibition ideas? I think for new consumers, one of the things that I'm focused on in the industry is product diversity. There's a real push for, we call it chasing the COA. It's who can produce the most potent weed. I'm a daily cannabis consumer, and I don't choose to consume the most potent cannabis. That's not what it is for me. Like, I don't drink grain alcohol. I think the full complement of terpenes and cannabinoids we're still trying to understand that. And I see a future where we have a lot of product diversity, and the focus is on much of these minor cannabinoids and terpenes. What failures have you found in your system, and how have you improved them? That's a great question. Like all of the good ones. We've had powdery mildew, we've had bud rot, we've had bugs and insects. That's just inherent. It's bound to happen whether you bring it in from your garden at home or when you receive germplasm from another facility, that's a vector. We really focused on trying to build microbiological tools, monitoring tools, so that we could see what was going on, and then using the scientific method to evaluate treatment regimes and build integrated pest management processes to well, eradicate, but then maintain free of those things. Not to say that anybody should let their guard down. It's an ever-present threat. In your opinion, did the illicit market get smaller or larger since legalization? Yeah, I think it's about the same. Like, people are consuming the same amount of cannabis. There's a lot of volatility in the market prices. Black market prices came down since legalization, but we've seen sort of an uptick recently. I'm not sure if that's supply side or demand side, but we're probably capturing maybe 20% of the market in the legal industry. What positions are in greatest demand? That's a great question. There's room for everyone. There's a lot of, think about how you can show somebody what your skill set can do for them. First Nations communities are developing their own cannabis regulations that are more loose than Health Canada. Is this a threat? Is this a threat to the hoops you've had to jump through? I think you got a sense from some of the early comments, like our effort, like we work with a lot of other companies because we've got this scientific capability. We like to find ways of supporting other operators that are also focused on bringing great quality to consumers. I think it's better that we all strive for excellence. I think that we're a small company. We don't really see people as competitors. We see them as collaborators. I think that at the end of the day, the consumer will really drive what products and services are important. Are you looking for regulatory QA compliance? Yes, we've brought on some summer students. We work with Niagara College as well as University of Guelph Quality Assurance Program to help with training students as well. So whether that's students or full-time positions, that's a really important role. There's another question, co-op opportunities. Yes. What is the number one issue facing the industry at present? Really, I think it's retail rollout. This COVID thing has really slowed things down. That was really coming online with the new management at the boards, and we just want to see that continue to happen. It'd be great if the governments in the provinces would continue to facilitate things like delivery and click and collect, particularly while COVID is still a concern. Am I stepping on anybody's time here, Roman?
No, absolutely not. You have another 8-10 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Enjoy. If you want to answer more questions, by all means. We seem to have people really interested. So please go ahead.
Great questions. Okay, are there any problems you're looking to solve in your company? Yeah, sure, lots. One of the things so we are a hydroponic operator. We use rock wool. We'd like to define a standard of cultivation called living rock wool, similar to living soil in the sense that you are not just providing fertilizer constituents, but really building that diverse and healthy ecology in the root zone that's important to plant signaling, nutrient uptake, and secondary metabolite production. I think that's a really exciting one, that we're working with Dr. Zhang at the University of Guelph and Mark Habish as well. Creating your own terroir. Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. Any jobs for people with backgrounds in sales? Yes, we're just launching our brand. So Royal City Cannabis, our rec brand is now on sale in Saskatchewan, and will be in Ontario and Alberta shortly, and hoping to roll out other provinces soon. How are the logistics of the product any different than other industries? The supply chain is very complex, and every province has their own distribution. It does create barriers, additional costs, and inefficiencies. It would be great if we could standardize a sort of approach, but at the same time, this is the nature of Confederation. We try out a bunch of things, we figure out what works, and then we scale that up. So I think that's just part of the Canadian experience. How much to start a microgrow? Great question. Send me an email. Do you find that cannabis companies take advantage of the fact that a lot of people lack scientific literacy when it comes to cannabis consumption? Yes. you know, I'll probably get into some controversial territory here, but you know, indica sativa is one of those things that people hold out as like some indicator of what the effect of the cannabis is. You know, from a pharmacodynamics, from a pharmacology standpoint, you can find a similar chemical profile in an indica as a sativa. You know, perception equals reality, and you know, there might be a little bit of placebo. At the end of the day, people shouldn't tell you what your cannabis is going to make you feel like. I think that's a journey for the cannabis consumer to figure out on their own. But yeah, more transparency, more education, more scientific rigor. That's all really good things and building confidence. What we consider remote workers, yes, we're still figuring that out. It's been a catalyst for us to start adopting better online collaboration tools. You know, we do have some folks that are part of the company that one of them lives in Alberta, for instance. You know, so we do that in a way, but it's something that, you know, I think we're taking a more serious look at every day. IT background, yeah, that's useful. Topical products you're hoping to offer. I'm not sure I can say much about that at this time. Is a supply chain and distribution heritage taken from the alcohol industry, hence the structure creates existing inefficiencies? Yeah, that's a pretty keen insight there. I'd agree with that. No career page on the company website. Can you share the email once again? Yes, it's HR@CannTx, spelled CANN as in Nancy, T as in Tom, X.com. Wonderful. Okay, well, I probably, I think I'd like to thank everyone for those questions. Those were great. Maybe I'll pass it back to Roman then.
Thank you so much, Buck, and thank you, Mike, as well for great stories. We'll be transitioning to our next company, our next invite. Mike, again, well, Buck, thank you so much for answering all of those questions. Attendees, please don't hesitate to send as many questions as you want, as you can. If we cannot answer all of those right now, we'll make sure that we'll keep them in a we'll keep them on the side, and we'll send you an answer as soon as we can. Once again, you'll be able.
We will. I'd just like to say that we will respond and answer all the questions. And we'll respond to all the resumes that come in as well.
There you go. So exactly. So perfect. So thank you for sharing the link again for your HR email address. We will be sending you know, a list of all the contacts for you guys to get in touch with Mike and Buck. You know, they can still share their insights. We're gonna move on. Mike, thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate. Buck, thank you again as well. We'll be in touch very soon.
Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent, excellent.